Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Tennis Channel Inside In on the Tennis Channel Podcast Network. Mitch Michals from the Santa Monica studios. Again, as we are delighted to be joined by a current player who got into the top 50 this year, was a member of the 21 and Under Club on tennis.com. Still, I think, a couple months left of her being in the 21 and Under Club. By way of King of Prussia, Pennsylvania. Had her first title last year as well. It's Ann Lee joining us now. Ann Lee, thank you for coming on the program.
Hey, everybody. It's awesome to be on the Tennis Channel podcast. It should be a good one.
I'm excited to talk to you, too, because it's funny how there's a lot of players that rise up the ranks, but I feel like we don't really get a chance to know them too well. And your story's been cool. It's been exciting to watch the progress. And I know it hasn't exactly been overnight for you, but first things first, how are you feeling after 3 months of, dare I say, a little bit of a normal season after the last couple of years? It's kind of back into a groove of a normal year. And how are you feeling?
It's a little interesting, I will say. Yeah, the past few years have been so different and unique. And so I feel like everybody's been struggling a little bit. But I actually had a decent 2 years, even with COVID. But this year I've been trying to play more tournaments because last year I did get injured. So I was out for a couple months. But I feel like I've traveled more in the last 2 months than I ever have recently. So it's been a lot of travel, but I'm super grateful that it's kind of moving back to normal again.
So I want to ask you too, because everybody from around the globe and has their own tennis experience or tennis story. What was it like for you growing up in a small town? And I know the backstory is your family, like a lot of tennis, for a lot of athletic families, bunch of different sports, bunch of different things. Why did you pick tennis, and what was it like in a small town where you might not have had the crop of people to play against? And what was that experience like?
So my brother, I have an older brother and he played. So I always followed him along because we have another family friend. So that's kind of how he got into tennis because their son also played. So they would take lessons together and I would just tag along. And then one day I was a really active child, so I just wanted to try it. And then apparently, I mean, the coach kind of just fed me balls and then stopped me. And then he came up to my mom and he was like, she's gonna be better than your son.
Wow.
So yeah. So I guess I mean I fell in love with it right away, but
You didn't want to put the speed skates on like your aunt? You didn't want to just try that career path?
No. I mean, I did enjoy watching figure skating growing up, but that wasn't really for me.
So it's fascinating too, because a coach can right away tell that you have talent. I'm assuming it was a lot of raw talent. Like you had energy, you had some skill, but it had to be refined. Were you on board from the get-go? Like, I'm going to work hard at this. Was there a period where you're like, this is too much, I need to take a break? How were you checked in mentally throughout your progression?
Mentally, I mean, I feel like I've been lucky because through these steps that I've been through, I've always had really great people to kind of guide me and help me along the way. But some can't say, so I'm super grateful for that, and I think that's helped me a lot through my journey. And it's kind of a step by step process. But yeah, I mean, it can be tough, especially traveling so much, and it's not like it's a little bit of a lonely sport, I will say, unlike team sports. But for me, mentally, I've never had an issue where, oh, like I feel like I'm overworking myself, or I mean, because I play because I love the sport, so that kind of drives me and keeps me going.
Do you feel like, and I've heard this quote about you, coaches have said, you were a late bloomer. You didn't have those reps that some of the other prodigies or young, phenoms have had. You think that in a way has helped you? It's kind of prevented burnout and it's given you a chance to grow at your own pace?
A little bit, yeah. I think everyone has their own journey, and some people that tend to get results super early in their career, they don't, and then once they get to pros, they don't really stay at the top. And then obviously you have cases where they do, but for me, it was, I think, a good way to build my foundation in my game because I have a lot of variety. So it kind of delays the process, I guess, because it's not super simple. It's not a super simple game where I just go out in the court and I do one thing. I have so many different tools that I can use. So I think that's kind of the whole process of it. And I actually, yeah, I like that it's kind of a step by step process. I mean, sometimes I do wish it was a little bit faster, but I like where I'm going right now.
So when was the breakthrough where you realized, okay, this is this is serious. Now I know Wimbledon, junior Wimbledon finalist in 17. Was that the moment, or was it before that where something happened where you're like, okay, this is a legit career possibility now?
I mean, I think once I kept training and I started online school and everything, I think I definitely knew that I had it in me. It was just a matter of time. But I think after that, the Wimbledon junior final was definitely like, okay, like let's take this into the pros and see what can happen.
Right. Because you were unseeded then, and I'm in
Yeah,
talking to players about their growth. A lot of the times the seeds, I don't want to say don't really matter, but
yeah,
players aren't playing in a lot of tournaments. They're not sure. So it's more along the less of like they all believe in their game, but they just haven't been in that situation before. But to go to the junior final, unfortunately, clearly we got the best of you, but it was, one of your best friends now, of
yeah,
course, but
yeah,
it had to be a remarkable experience. And I didn't know this about you till looking up that grass is actually your favorite surface.
yeah. It is, and I didn't have a great grass season last year, but I don't think it's changed my feelings about it yet. But yeah, definitely the Wimbledon Junior. That was actually there was a warm up tournament before, but that was my first time playing on grass ever. So I just went out there and I just had so much fun because I think it suits my game really well too. And it's so different from every other surface. It's like the movement is different, everything is different. Like you almost never really know what the bounce is gonna do. And so I just find it really fun. But yeah, actually Claire and I have never hit before that final. So it's really interesting. But yeah, we're really close now, and then hopefully this grass season I can do some damage.
Yeah, you had a lot of time to get to know her during that doubles match that went in, because I remember that one where it was just never ending. Well, I think it was the men's final. No, you bring up some good points about grass. It's just so fascinating with that surface. It's fun, but it's such a short season. I feel like breakthroughs, that's the sport, that's the surface where it happens overnight.
Yeah, it's like
It's just,
anything can happen on that.
and you
Anything.
don't have reps. You have a couple weeks to play. So one year you might have a bad year, and then the next year you could go out and make a major semifinal. So
Exactly. Yeah.
you're pretty open about who your tennis idols were. What was it like meeting Roger Federer?
Oh my god. Oh my god. When I met him the first time, it was like, see, I don't think I get starstruck very often, but like when I saw him, I was like, oh my god. And then I actually was able to get a picture, and then I saw him again. I got another picture because every time I saw him, I was like, and like this is your chance. Like you got to get a picture every time. And then after the finals was a Wimbledon ball, so that was really cool, and I got to see him. And I remember when he was practicing the first time, I stood in the same spot for the whole practice and just watched him because I mean, I think he's the greatest and I love him.
Yeah, he's the one, right? Because you strike me as someone that doesn't get starstruck that much, but he's like a living beetle almost. Like you watch him and practices, he'll sell those out. Like it'll be insane. There'll be top 10 players next to him and everyone's watching his practice. But those experiences at the Wimbledon ball especially had to kind of set in motion like this is the end of the journey. If I can get to somewhere along this lane.
Yeah, I think during that slam, it was really cool because you can be so close to the pros, and for me, that was a really cool experience because I was still in juniors at the time, so I was like, wow, this is pretty amazing.
When did you decide, okay, college, LSU wanted you, it would have been a life altering thing to go down south and play college tennis, but you decided to go pro. Was that a struggle for you? When did you ultimately make that decision?
Yeah, I think maybe it was close to the end of 2017, I don't remember exactly what day, but yeah, I think that was probably one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. I I went to LSU I verbally committed there for the coaches. I mean, Mike Sell, Joy Sell, they're amazing and amazing people as well. So I would go there for them. But yeah, I think in the back of my mind, I mean, you always, if you want to play professional, you never really want to go to college because I feel like, it's the path of, okay, you're good enough to go pro, so you can do that. That was definitely one of the hardest decisions I've had to make. But I felt like at the time I was at USTA in Orlando, just started there. So I felt like my situation was really good and I was feeling good with my training and everything. So I felt like, I can do this. And it's funny, I still have a really good relationship with Mike. And so I'm super grateful for that opportunity. But it would have been very different. I used to wonder what I would be like if I
Right.
went to college because my friends are in college, but I like where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I mean, you would basically have just finished up. Like that's how crazy this is. Like that would have, it's 4 years ago, but 4 or 5 years ago from the decision, but it's also like you just finishing up about to graduate as a true senior now, which is insane to
Wait,
think about.
time-wise.
Were there any, like, maybe regrets, or I don't want to say regrets, but second thoughts, like, you go from thinking about going to college, now you're in, I think it's like Evansville, Indiana, and it's like, okay, I don't know if this is glamorous yet. Did you have any regrets at first?
Um, not I don't think I had any regrets. I mean, I'm also kind of like a go with the flow person, so like, whatever happens,
Yeah.
happens. But I'm pretty happy. I mean, I've liked the steps I've taken and the journey I've been on, even not deciding to go to college. So it's actually good because I won the tournament in Evansville after. So I was like, okay, this is a good start. But yeah, it's pretty good.
The life as a pro tennis player, which and I know, and I don't think a lot of the masses know, it doesn't start off glamorous. So you were all committed, like you say, go with the flow. Like we're gonna go to small towns for the smaller money tournaments and just trust the process here, huh?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's hard for people to see because they don't see kind of the behind the scenes of what really goes on. There's a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline, a lot of going through pain and sacrificing things. So people just kind of see the glamorous part of it and whatnot, but it really can be really tough.
And Leanne, Tennis Channel Inside In here as we get to know her a little bit more and talk about the successes that she's had. Um, I just want to know about the way you play. Very aggressive, a lot of movement. You said you were that energetic kid that always had to be running around. I just wanted to know how you kind of developed your style over time. Was that just always how you play? Did you kind of work on certain things?
I think I will credit a lot of my like variety to my junior coach John Glover. He really started to implement like slices and a lot of volleys, swinging volleys. So I'll credit most of my variety to that. But it is definitely how I've always wanted to play and how I do play. I remember super aggressive. I mean, the first time I tried with that coach when I went with my brother, I was just trying to hit the ball as hard as I could every time. So I
Yeah.
guess that's kind of where it came out from. But yeah, definitely super aggressive, a lot of variety. I would say I would try to style my game more like a guy. So I do say I play more like a guy. And then a lot of it comes from my movement. Definitely trying to get to the net as much as possible. So yeah.
Were there any times playing professionally where you might not have had a good result, or you played somebody tough and you're like, okay, this is another level. I kind of need to change some things to get here. Might
Yeah.
have actually helped your game.
There were definitely matches where I realized, okay, like, yeah, like let's do this better next time.
Yeah.
But I think some of it is just experience as well. I remember when I played Sabalenka third round in Australian Open last year. Um, it was like, okay, we played on Rod Laver. That was the first time I played there, and she was doing really well at the time. And I was like, I didn't even play that bad, but she played well, and it was just like the whole experience and the whole like situation. So I think just getting used to that as well.
Yeah, that's like next level power. I mean, that's but it's good to have those experiences, take your lumps, so to speak. And I know 2020, you go into it and COVID happens and all this stuff. And
Yeah.
I've talked to players where they're like, we use this as an opportunity. The tour shuts down. Fitness was a huge thing. You've been open about having to kind of change your fitness. Was that what the goal was, going with the flow in that regard of like, I'm going to get more fit during this downtime from actually playing matches?
Actually, it was tough because when they told us like Indian Wells was canceled and like COVID kind of hit, I went home to Pennsylvania and I was only going to stay there for a couple weeks, but I ended up being there for like 2 months. And so I wasn't really practicing and the fitness obviously wasn't great because I was alone. And then I didn't really have that much equipment at home. So I had to like order stuff and try to make do with what I had. And obviously it wasn't, the best thing that I could have done, but I was working with what I had, and then I went back to Orlando. That's kind of where I started picking things up again. But actually, when COVID hit, I didn't really train as hard because I was home. But yeah,
How long have you been training in Orlando? I'm curious about that as well.
yeah, because people still say I'm there, but I'm not.
Yeah.
I was there
Yeah.
for like 3 years, and then now I'm in Georgia. So I
Okay.
moved. My coach and I we left USTA, kind of went separate, and then we moved to Georgia last summer.
Okay. I'm just asking because it seems like that's not the USTA is obviously a huge thing as well,
Yeah.
but training in those elements seems like that's the strategy, and it's worked. A lot of young American players and veterans.
Yeah.
Do you think there's something to like, I'm going to brave the elements, I'm going to build my stamina up in this region of the country?
Yeah. Yeah, I think definitely, I used to go to New York, USTA, so that was a really great experience. I loved my time there. I mean, I made so many friends, and coaches were amazing. And then I feel like Orlando, they really stepped up. Like, I mean, they have 100 courts. They have red clay, green clay, indoor hard, regular hard court, and they have a full gym, like physios there. So I think their resources are unbelievable. And I think being able to train there, I was super happy, and it really helped me a lot because there are also great coaches there, and a lot of great players as well. So
Yeah.
USC was pretty good at that time for me.
I mean, you're like 18, 19, this is a full-time job. You're committed, you're in the workforce. Like it's a little different.
Yeah, yeah,
Obviously,
yeah, yeah. I never. It's hard because I do think of it as a job, but it's like I enjoy it so much. Where it's not like
right. It's fun. It's obviously a blast. You're living out your dreams, but you have to put in hours like a full-time worker, which is crazy. And then kind of looking at it, I don't know if you realize this, but the story about you and the Post-it notes is kind of the stuff of legend around here.
Mm,
You're just putting out your goals for those of you who haven't heard it, listening and watching. You put 5 Post-it notes up, your goals, and it's all the majors and the #1 ranking in the world. Is that how it's always been? You just had to physically see that right in front of you? And why I appreciate just the forthright honesty, because a
yeah.
lot of players say they want that, but aren't willing to put the time in to do it.
Yeah, actually, I read David Goggins' book during COVID, and he talks about he kind of was saying, "Oh, you should do this, like write on post-it notes your goals and stick it on the mirror." So I was reading the book at the time, so I was like, "Okay, might as well do it." And then yeah, I think winning the four majors would be really cool because not a lot of people have won all four. So I think it's really cool to do that on every surface. And then obviously at #1, everyone kind of dreams of being #1, and I think yeah, obviously it's gonna take a lot of hard work, and I'm just trying to get better every day, and see what happens.
Yeah, don't train like ultra marathons like him. I don't think that would be good if
Yeah,
you did
that
that.
guy's a different breed. That he is just something else.
Yeah, yeah. It's I've read that book myself. It's inspiring, but yeah, for a pro athlete, I don't know if you should emulate every single training block he's done. But so the process there, what was, I guess, the first step to achieving those goals? We can get to the first titles and just getting to the point of, being more consistent. Was that the basis of it? Consistency and week in, week out, trying to bring your best level?
Yeah, I think it definitely comes from consistency and, you know, trying to be the best you can be every day, depending on it doesn't matter how you're feeling, if you're feeling bad that day or whatever. If you're having a good day or a bad day, you have to, put your best effort into it every day and keep doing the right thing. And for me, it's, keeping that high level of practice every single day, even though it can be really hard sometimes. But I think that consistency of practice is kind of what you bring to matches. And especially during pressure moments, you kind of go back to, your habits. And so I think building good habits is really important.
Seemed like 2020, that Australian Open was kind of the first mini breakthrough because you
Yeah.
run through qualifying, you win a main draw match,
Yeah.
and you lose to the eventual champion in the second round. Did you feel like, okay, I'm kind of unlocking something? Or I know another quote you've said is, it's not about results, it's about the progress. That felt like the progress was there.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like I said before, I feel like I have it in me. It's just a matter of when it's gonna show up.
Yeah.
So obviously the sooner the better. But yeah, I think that was a really great moment for me. I mean, I played Lizette Cabrera in the first round. She's Australian, so I got a kind of a taste of, I mean, people were going wild during that match, banging on the sides, like screaming. It was actually really cool, but I'm happy to get the win there because actually, when you think about it, like the situation was super tough. But I remember the match before also, I saved a match point or two, I think. But for me, it was just, yeah, I was enjoying it and having fun and obviously developing myself more. So I think that was a really great moment.
Yeah, just no big deal. Just saved a couple match points. That's yeah. No, and that's where I think the consistency started. The hard court major results you've had have been pretty solid. You've been able to win a couple matches in your last several. the US Open 2020, you beat Ali Risk. And then last year, 2021 Australian Open, it was Cornet before Sabalenka. So that's when I think it started to come together. Did you feel like you kind of belonged at that level more, where it's not a flash in the pan? I don't want to say fluke, but it was more consistent results against some really good players?
Yeah, it was funny that last year because we had to quarantine
Yeah,
in
that's right.
Australia.
You were in the
15
14-day
days.
quad quarantine.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was actually insane. But again, like I was like, like what can you do? I mean, a lot of players were complaining, but it's kind of like, what can you do? Like just go with it. And I really tried hard to train, super hard in my room, and took my mattress down, was hitting against it. So I really just tried to make do, and then I came out and I just because when you come out of preseason and you get to Australia, all you want to do is compete, and then you're locked in a room for 15 days, and it's just like wow. But I just was there, and I just wanted to have fun and be able to play because I mean I couldn't hit for 15 days, and it doesn't seem like a lot to people, but when you do that every like almost every day, it's a lot. So I was just super happy to enjoy my time on the court, and I ended up doing really well in the tournament before, and then we didn't get to play the finals, but that's kind of when I started gaining a lot more confidence because I beat a lot of good players in that tournament. And then going into Australia, yeah, that's kind of where my confidence was building, and ended up doing pretty well.
Yeah, you beat Jen Brady, who ended up making the AO final that year. And I've seen tennis players have different results and reactions to outcomes of matches.
Mhm.
What was it? It was the closest thing to a tie, right? You literally didn't get a chance to play the final against KONTAVEIT. How were you just leaving it like, I really wish I would have played, but still it's good that I'm in the final?
Yeah, it definitely was. I wish I could have played because I was feeling really good at the time. So I was like, this could be a good chance, to for a title. But I was obviously super happy to win the match against Jenny Brady. I mean, she's a great player, and obviously she made the finals in the Australian Open the next week. So I was super happy. I mean, it was final either way, and we both shared the trophy, and she's super nice. So
More with Ann Lee here on Tennis Channel Inside In. We get to the first title, Tenerife, you win it. And really impressive part about this was the toughest match was your first match.
yeah.
It's like, so you just kind of routed into form, just won 3-set match early and then rolled into it. Was that confidence building up before? Did it just kind of happen that week, or were you feeling really good going into that tournament?
Actually, I had a couple tough weeks before that tournament. I'm not doing great, and not feeling amazing. But going into there, I mean, yeah, I don't know what happened for me. I guess everything just clicked, and yeah, the first match was definitely the toughest. And I remember it was a super physical match, and I was cramping a little bit in the end, but I ended up winning, and I guess from there everything kind of took off, and I was really just enjoying my time there as well. I mean, Tenerife is beautiful, and everyone's super nice. So I just had a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's worse places stylistically to win your first title. So it did seem like the courts were playing a little fast and you were hitting the ball pretty hard and it just suited what you were doing. First title had to mean a lot. I don't know if you realize this, but when you won, you acted like you'd won 100 trophies. You were very like calm and down to earth. And it was actually kind of cool. I know a couple of people pointed out like this is someone that looks like they expect to win.
Yeah, I sometimes you plan in your head what your reactions would be like when you win, and sometimes in my head it's a lot more. I'm showing a lot more emotions than I actually end up showing. But for me, like again, like with my personality, I'm pretty calm usually, and so sometimes not a lot comes out. But definitely was super happy, and then it was funny because one guy after I think either after my second match or first match, some guy just came up to me and he was like doing this sign, and it just like it just like really stuck with me. And then I kept seeing him, and in the finals, I remember he was there. And then after the match, or I was just like I gave him the sign, and it was just yeah, it was pretty cool.
You just broke down pro athletes and how ridiculously like superstitious and rituals are, because it's always something. It's not just tennis players, but that's another example. You found one guy doing one hand gesture, it stuck with you, and then you like had to see him.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty fun for me. That was fun.
So now, as we kind of get forward in your career, are you cognizant of what your peers are doing? Do you look at, because you're still in the top 70? doing very well in your young career. There's 9 Americans in front of you. A couple of them are teenagers or early 20s. Are you kind of aware of what they're doing? Is that motivation to keep pushing?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm aware of who's playing, who's winning, what's going on. I think I don't try to compare myself too much. I think that can be almost toxic in a way if you compare yourself too much. But it's definitely motivating to see how everyone else is doing, and kind of like, oh, like I've beaten this person, and then now they're in the final or something here. So I think it is motivating, and yeah, I'm trying to watch more matches as well and learn a bit more. So I think it's cool.
How satisfying was it to get that chance to play KONTAVEIT and beat her at Miami recently? You finally got to play her on the court.
Yeah, I was super pumped before that match because I was like, this is, I mean, we were supposed to play, and I was feeling really good before then when we were, supposed to play. So I think going into the match, I was super excited, and I played well and I got the win, and so yeah, really happy about that.
When you're playing these matches, this is just a personal question, but when you're playing these matches, then you have like a dominant set score, like 6-love
Yeah.
bagel first set, and then you lose the second set. Is there like some negative like scar tissue with that? Like, I played so well, how could I not win this in straight sets? You were able to put it on the back burner and win the match, but I'm just curious tactically and mentally what you were feeling.
Yeah, I think one thing about tennis players is we have to have short-term memory. Definitely, like, okay, this point happens, okay, it's over, next point. But for, yeah, definitely, I mean, a 6-0 set, playing well. Obviously, she's a really great player and she's gonna fight. So I knew her level was gonna rise. But yeah, I ended up losing that second set, and then just kind of raise my own level in the third, and then yeah, it wasn't super negative. I mean, I knew she was going to play better after the first set and kind of get under her feet a little bit, and so yeah, I kind of put it behind me.
Certainly did that. It was another step in your progression in your career. I want to end this with just kind of asking some of the personal
Yeah.
questions, like the behind the scenes stuff. I mentioned Claire Lou, but who are your other friends on tour? Like, and I want to know if I've talked to any of them so I can get some inside intel.
um I would still say I'm fairly new on the tour, so I don't know I mean, I know people, but I haven't gotten really close to many. But yeah, Claire's one. I was pretty close with Haley Baptiste a little bit ago. We were in Orlando together, and then I'm also friends with Kaya Juvan. I know, yeah. I mean, I can't think of other people that I'm super close with, but I mean, I've started,
Yeah.
seeing a lot more people.
And you
Yeah,
guys were in bubbles too. It's a tough time. It's like being a college student during this time where you're kind of,
make
you
friends
know,
during this time.
isolated a little bit. Yeah. I got to ask about, the music choices. You said you're a big country music fan.
Yes, I am a
Oh, okay.
huge
All
country.
right. That's not what you normally, I don't think that's what I would normally get on this show, but
Really? Yeah.
what brought you, what got you in there? Were your parents fans? Did you just discover it?
No, I think I just discovered it one day on YouTube or something, and the first person I discovered was Hunter Hayes, and then
Okay.
after that, I kind of just like was really into it, and then now I'm really into Morgan Wallen. I think he's my favorite of all time right now. But yeah, love country. I mean, I actually listen to a lot of other things like I'll listen to pop, rap, R&B, like some like Avicii type stuff. I also like sometimes I listen to jazz like randomly.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of different stuff. But I've actually never been to a concert either. So
That's on the bucket list too. I mean,
look
it's
forward to. Yeah.
you made that next step. You might as well go see a country concert. All right. I need to get to the bottom of the ukulele story. How good are you? Do you play? Because I had a ukulele as a kid, but never learned. It's one of my biggest regrets.
Yeah. Yeah, I got really into it when I was younger, and then I asked for it for my birthday, and I got one, and I was playing it a bunch. That was like years ago, and then
You can legit play, but you can legit play
no, I
music.
can play. Yeah, I just kind of looked on YouTube, like learned tutorials and all that, and then actually my first song I learned was "Sunday Morning" by Maroon 5. Great song, by the way. But then I learned that, and then I actually so that one was kind of like not a real ukulele. It was like a white, and then it was like the small one. So then after I got another one that's like a legit, like it's like real, and then
Oh,
played that for a little bit, and then I don't really play anymore. So I have a guitar. I actually got a guitar, but I don't play that either that much. So I should probably get into that.
Have you learned? Well, sounds like you start playing things, but might
Yeah.
not just stay with it.
Yeah.
Is a guitar like, have you taken legit lessons or taught yourself? Like you've learned to play a little bit on that too?
Yeah, I've never taken like legit lessons. I used to play piano and when I was younger, so I did take lessons for that, but I quit
Oh,
for tennis, and I also did dance as well, and I quit that too for
wow.
tennis. But I just kind of look on YouTube and learn by myself, and yeah.
What was the dance discipline? Like what type of dancing?
Oh, I did ballet, jazz, tap, and modern. I did-
So you're,
yeah.
I'm starting to see, it's like your parents signed you up for everything.
Yeah, it's funny because I think in the beginning, my brother also did piano, so it was kind of like they wanted um, me to be like dancing and like that girly, like
Yeah.
dancing and music, and then my brother to be sports. But it kind of I went the sports way, and then he finished all the levels of
Okay.
piano. So
Yeah. I just like, how did your brother take going back to the beginning? How did he take like your sister's going to be better than you?
yeah, I think he actually took it pretty well.
That's good.
He played in high school on the team, and then he enjoyed
Yeah.
it, but um yeah, he also swam and he did other things. So I
Right.
think he's more of a team sport player. But he doesn't play anymore. So I guess I took that over.
Do you have like sport interest? Are you a fan of any teams or athletes outside tennis?
Um I don't really watch other sports, which is probably bad. I mean, I should. But when I was younger, I was super into watching figure skating. I thought it was really cool. And then, I mean, all the sports, I mean, they're pretty cool if you're at the highest level. And I think, yeah, I don't really watch other sports. I mean, I support the Eagles, and just because. But I'm actually trying to watch more tennis, so I think I need to get that done first.
This is good. We're learning more about you.
Yeah.
You're a dedicated tennis player. That's tunnel vision. Doesn't really watch other sports, but hey, it's all good. Everybody has their own interests. The last thing I wanted to ask you was, going to your personal stuff, what you post. Was that your Valentine? Was a donkey? Is that what we have here?
that was we were in Dubai, and so I guess one of the things you have to do there is go see the desert, and we ended up riding quads, and that was a camel.
Camel.
And
Okay.
so we actually got to ride the camel for a little bit, and it was actually really cool. I've never done anything like that, and yeah, it was amazing. Yeah.
Wow. So that's, yeah, you get to, tennis takes you to another part of the world and you're just riding camels on
Yeah, and
Valentine's
then
Day.
the camel ends up being my Valentine. So
Well, hey, who would have thought you get all that
I'll
way
take
to
it. I'll take
there. Ann Lee, this was fun. Last thing, I mean, what's the next step for you in the short term to reach those goals of
it.
4 Grand Slams, the number one, like going into clay court season? What do you have your eyes and your heart set on?
Yeah, I think definitely I want to do some damage on the clay, and I think in my physicality I've gotten a lot stronger and everything, so I think this could be a really good time, and right now just keeping the body healthy, and then just playing my game and getting more confidence like that, and playing higher level tournaments, and just trying to get better every day and solidify who I am on the court, and how I play, and what I'm like. So I think for me that's the goal, just kind of getting better every day and working on my strengths and working on my weaknesses, and just becoming really solid overall.
Yeah, you're definitely in the mix now. You've played a lot of pro level matches and you're a threat on tour. And at your age, about to be 22, we gotta see about the Olympics for you. I think that could be a nice thing is
Yeah,
get you
that
on
would
Team
be
USA.
yeah, that would be unbelievable. I mean, I watched it on TV, so to be a part of that would be really cool.
I know that's something where we talk about it with other athletes. It's not the money side of things. It's just representing the country and, for the family, especially getting to walk out as part of Team USA.
Yeah, I mean, it's a
Uh,
huge honor. So that
I
would
think
be
I think it'll happen. You're still young enough, and there's a lot of
yeah.
opportunities there. We just got to make sure these Olympics happen. But uh,
Yeah.
Ann Lee, thank you so much for joining me on Tennis Channel Inside In. Best of luck on your season and career going forward. Keep practicing all those instruments though that you stopped playing.
Yeah, I gotta get better at that. But thanks so much for having me.
Thank you.